Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. Here is your daily forecast for the day of Sunday, May 20th, 2018. Now what we've got going on today is the moon hanging out right here in Leo, which is going to bring our attention to what makes us happy, doing things we enjoy, playing comes in with Leo. What else? Kids. Spending time with kids or dealing with issues regarding kids, passion projects, and again I do think of Leo as like the sign of entertainment, going to the movies and things like that. Okay, so that's what comes in here when the moon is in Leo. Now at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, this moon in Leo is going to conjunct the North Node, which I do like. I typically like moon North Node days, even though today may be a little bit different. But what it can bring at 7 a.m. is a chance for you to finally feel a little bit better, like it's easier for you to be happy, like maybe you're moving forward, doing some of the things that you enjoy in life that really resonate with your heart. Okay, the end of yesterday was a little bit difficult with this moon entering Leo, making a trine to Chiron and a square to Uranus. So things were a little rocky last night, maybe not feeling quite right, not feeling super confident about your life with money matters and things like that. But I think at 7 a.m. with the moon in the North Node, you briefly get a little reprieve, start to feel a little bit better here, like maybe you're getting a handle on things and figuring out what you need to do in order to move forward, being happier with the things perhaps that came up yesterday. All right, so that's what's happening there. Then a few hours later we get a little bit of a difficult aspect, and that is at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, the moon, as it moves through Leo, comes into a square with Mercury and Taurus. All right, and what that could bring up perhaps is a difficult conversation, or if you're not talking to someone, a difficult thought. Maybe that it is that you have with Mercury being in Taurus in regards to your money, your talents, your skills, your confidence, your possessions in some way. Okay, with the moon here in Leo, we want to feel happy, be out and about. Leo also is the sign of leadership, of putting yourself on a stage in front of everyone, and perhaps that could feel a little bit difficult for you after the moon conjuncts this North Node at 1 p.m. because maybe there are some financial things again that we're concerned about. Maybe again there's confidence that we're trying to work out, or we're trying to figure out what gifts and skills and talents that we have that we can use and how to use them in a way to be happier. Okay, and I think there gets to be perhaps some practical matters that do come in here at 1 p.m. that maybe we need to deal with and discuss with other people and think about before we can start to feel happy, or at least more lighthearted moving forward. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Then a few hours later, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, the moon moves further through Leo and we get another square coming in, and the moon is going to square Jupiter here in Scorpio. Okay, what that could bring again with Scorpio are perhaps some deep feelings hidden underneath the surface, some deep attachments to things, to a way of doing things that could come in. All right, that could be a little bit difficult with the square to Leo. All right, because Leo doesn't want to take care of practical matters with the square to Mercury, which it may have to do earlier in the day, and Leo doesn't want to take care of deep emotional ones either. Leo wants to be happy, put itself out there, and not have so many attachments to things and things from the past inside dragging it down, practical matters. And I think that's what's going on today, is that we're really trying to figure out how we can enjoy life more, move forward, show our hearts, take more of a leadership role or position in our lives. But before we can do that, having to deal with some deep emotions, deal with some practical matters, and even with Jupiter here at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, maybe even having to make some changes once again in our life, and how we spend money can come in, since Taurus and Scorpio also are very money related. Okay, maybe having to make some changes in how we spend money, and as well with Scorpio and how we partner intimately with people one-on-one, so that we can move forward being happy in the way that it is that we want. All right, and I think that's kind of what we're figuring out today. We want to be happy, but what needs to change in order for us to feel more comfortable and bring more stability in so that we can move forward in a better way. All right, so that's what I'll leave with you there. Now, other things going on in the background, we do have a lot happening behind the scenes. and that is Venus just moved into Cancer, really all about us feeling emotionally nurtured, emotionally comfortable being a really big thing, wanting to make sure everyone else in our life, not just us, but the other people too, feel good emotionally. Also, our values, since Venus rules our values now with Venus in Cancer, also comes to less of the things that you can touch and more of the matters of the heart. So I think with Venus here in Cancer, we're trying to work some things out emotionally in regards to ourselves and our relationships so that we can feel better. Maybe as well wanting to feel more comfortable financially. All right, I see that being a good thing. I like Venus in Cancer. However, Venus in Cancer is going to square Chiron in Aries, saying us getting more emotionally comfortable with our relationships, with who we are, and with our money. Finding financial situations that are more comfortable for us may require us to sacrifice some of our passions, sacrifice some of our desires in some ways so that we can get this comfort, okay? Getting this comfort that we want in our life too may make it hard for us, again, to act on and to do the things that we want in the way that we want them, and needing to go easy on some of the things that you want so that you can start to feel better, all right? So that's going on there. And I think the more you can work on finding more of the comfort in your life, with your relationships, with your money, even if you have to sacrifice some things, is going to give you insights here on how you can feel confident, more confident with your life, and hopefully bring more money to you or feel better with money in the end. All right, with the sextile to Uranus. So we have that going on there. Another thing I want to mention, the sun enters Gemini today. Yep, right. It always usually happens around the 20th and the 22nd of the month. Normally the sun changes signs, somewhere in between there. So the sun's going to move into Gemini, making it my birthday month. Coming in. Happy birthday to all my other Geminis. And what that's going to bring is more of our attention here to communicating. I mean, Venus has been in Gemini for the past few weeks, so we've already been communicating a lot about relationships, about money, with people, that kind of thing. But the sun here again is going to sustain some of that communication so that we can make sure that everyone is on the same page that we are as we move forward, and so that we're feeling good or communicating about our feelings with Venus in Cancer during the next month or so to get everyone on the same page. All right, the sun in Gemini, right as it enters Gemini, is going to trine Mars here, and it's going to sextile Chiron. So us communicating about perhaps some of our values, about some of the things that are important to us or that we need to feel more comfortable inside emotionally, I think is going to help us move forward, to envision a better future for ourselves, to socialize maybe more with groups of people in some way, and to start to feel better about who we are and how we do things, okay? This is kind of an interesting alignment with Venus in a square to Chiron, but with the sun and Mars both sextiling Chiron happening. And I think what's going on with Venus in Cancer in the square is saying we need to get comfortable with our situation, all right? Even if it means we can't do the things that we want, but thinking about things, considering the sun is in Gemini, an air sign, and the Mars is in Aquarius, also an air sign. Mars also stationing, get its shadow period here, saying you may have to sacrifice some things that you want and need in order to feel comfortable in life, in order to ground yourself, to build more of a foundation in your life, but adjusting your perspective with the sun and a trine with Mars, both air signs, which rule a lot of times the mind, thinking, thoughts. But adjusting your perspective is going to help you to overcome some of this restriction that you may feel when it comes to doing the things that you want and need. And if you feel stuck, if you feel like, I want to feel comfortable in my relationships, but there's this other thing that's going on that's really frustrating, I think communicating with other people, thinking about things in your own mind and trying to get different perspectives, to think about yourself differently, where you saw your life going differently, is then going to help you figure out how you need to do things in a better way now that you're trying to perhaps resist some arguments and to move along feeling much more comfortable than we have lately, okay? So I think that's what's happening. It's kind of an unusual thing here, kind of contradictory with like the squares and the sextiles both to Chiron, okay? While that's going on, we also still do have Mars too, in a square to Uranus, maybe bringing some unexpected things as well with Uranus here in Taurus in regards to finances, in regards to your gifts and skills and talents, and in regards perhaps to where you see your life going and how it is that you use your finances or your talents to move yourself in the right direction, okay? And really needing to take stock of everything that's at your disposal so that you can figure out where you go next from here and what you need to do to get to the future, even if you have to rearrange your idea of where you thought your life was going. And I think that's where the Sun trine Mars comes in. The thinking, processing, mulling things over is going to be very important, trying to get different perspectives, especially with so many planets going retrograde, which I'm going to talk a lot about in my June webinar coming up next week, especially with so many planets now going retrograde. I think a lot of it is trying to figure out inside what's going on mentally and trying to get comfortable with everything so that we can hopefully move forward now with a better understanding of what's going on. All right. Some interesting things happening, especially with Mars coming on the South Node. There's a lot of rethinking we're going to have to do here in the next few months with Mars going retrograde here in Aquarius. We're going to have to rethink where we saw our life was going. Maybe at the beginning of the year you thought, like, this is my dream for my life. My future was going to look this way. And I think Mars here going retrograde is saying, okay, your future isn't going to look quite the way you thought it was going to look. Things have changed in a weird direction. Things have gone in a weird way with the square to Uranus here. Okay, maybe in an unexpected way. And I think we are going to have to, over the next few months here, readjust our perspective, reconceptualize our life, who we are, who we associate with, so that we can start to feel more comfortable in our life with Venus and Cancer and do more of the things that are meant for us that can use our unique gifts and talents with Uranus and Taurus. Okay, so we've got that there. Other things I want to mention, Mercury too coming into an opposition with Jupiter as well. So with Mercury here, thinking a lot about stability and how we can bring more stability into our life and resist some changes in our life that have been going on, or how we can start to communicate about some big changes in our life that have taken place previously, okay, and process. I'm seeing that as being a lot coming in. So much came up. I want to say for us at the beginning of this year, it was so intense with all these planets coming across Pluto. So much change, so many feelings about things, attachments. I do want this, I don't want this. This is very scary. And now with so many planets going retrograde, it's time to say, okay, whoa, like, what does all of this mean now that all of this has happened? Take a second to, like, get your breath and to think about the future, to process things, to adjust your perspective now so that you can settle into these changes that you've made as you move forward, okay? And I think that's what we're trying to figure out now is, okay, whoa, now that all of this has happened, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my future? And how can I be okay with it so that at a later date, I can start to move forward once again? And that later date to me is going to be when all of these planets slowly start to move forward, which I think is going to happen around September, October. That a lot of that's going to occur. August and October, I think there's also going to be some big shifts that are going to go on as well. Okay, and I think now we're trying to make sense, process what's coming in, and to receive the results and the fruits of our labors since the beginning of this year, especially with Mars on the South Node. Okay, so that's going on there. And then the last thing I'll mention, Jupiter in a trine with Neptune here. I think helping us to make sense of everything that has been going on lately. I've just spent a lot of time talking about that, but I think helping us to make sense of a lot that's been going on and to overcome the past now, to come into new chapters. Now that the first few months of the year, all these planets past Pluto, we got everything out there. Maybe things were a little bit messy, just throwing things out there. I got to get this done. I got to make this change. I got to do this. And I think now with all these planets going retrograde, with Jupiter trine Neptune, it's like, okay, let's start to pick up the pieces more. All right, let's start to figure out of all of the things you did that you threw against the wall the last 2.5 years while Saturn was in Sagittarius, the beginning of this year, as you were trying to change your life to incorporate some of those things. Now that you've thrown a bunch of stuff at the wall, you got to figure out what's going to work for you, especially Uranus and Taurus, narrowing down your options since Uranus does not like being in Taurus. coming in. Now you got to figure out what's going to stick with me after everything that I've done, after everything that I've put out in the air. What's going to stay with me? What do I want to stay with me? And how do I use everything, pick and choose the most successful things from these past few months to start to move forward on those, to integrate those into my life, and to feel much better with them now that all of this has gone on, okay? So that's what I see going on. Yeah, I think that's what I'll leave you with for today. Now, your card for the day is the 8. The 8 of Pentacles upright. Now this card, to me, is actually one of studying and of learning. A lot of times this is like an apprentice who's like working away at some task that he's been doing, that he's been trying to learn, perhaps. And I think what's happening here with this today, with some of this stuff going on in the background, is that there's been so much that we've been doing lately. This to me is a Sagittarius kind of card, because apprenticeship, learning, Sagittarius rules higher education. Saturn was just in Sagittarius for such a long time. And I really do think this card is saying, now that you've gotten everything out into the open, now that you have done so much, it's time to focus more on perhaps some of the details. Time to focus more on maybe the nuts and bolts of things, the facts of the matter. Time to even focus on the practical stuff, okay? And to really get in deep to understand the details of your life, the practical stuff, so that you can move forward on that, okay? Sometimes I'll see this as well with Taurus. Pentacles perhaps could represent the Taurus influence coming in, dealing with practical matters, what you can and cannot realistically achieve, and the details, because this is a guide here that's also studying the Pentacle too. Could also be a little bit about Gemini. So it's the Sagittarius, Gemini, Scorpio balance coming in here. I think really needing, after so much expansion has maybe happened the past few years and so much chaos perhaps that's been going on in our life, I think this card is saying it's time to narrow things down. It's time to hone in. I know I've been saying this as well for a while, on the things that really matter, to focus on a few things, to get really deep into some of the things that you've been changing your life to be. And it's no longer about, let me try this and see if this works. Let me change my life in this way and go here. It's no, this is my life. This is what I have now changed my life to be. It's a matter of focusing now on more of the nuts and bolts, on some of the details of your life, so that you can begin to improve on those, feel better about those, study those, and know those in and out, so that when things start to move forward again, when all these planets start to go direct, you can start to feel much better, like you have a more deeper knowledge of yourself, of your situation, than of what you had previously, okay? Yeah, this is, I get a super Sagittarius Gemini vibe from this card. I'm not quite sure why, but that's just what I'm feeling here. Narrowing down all of your travels, all the things that you've learned, narrowing down to get to the nuts and bolts, and to understand them better, what's been going on with you. All right. So that's what I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching my horoscope. If you like it, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you later.